Another day in the shop and another project. I know you guys are probably thinking, man, this guy is nuts. He's got a million things going on. And you're right, I am nuts and I do have a million things going on. But I picked up this bike and I need to figure out how to move it. So I'm either going to part this thing out or I'm going to sell it whole. At this point, I don't know a whole lot about it. So I need to establish a baseline here. I need to see if I can get this thing fired up today and see if I can get it running. Now, I was told it runs, but we all know how that story goes. Ran when parked, great runner, all the things you possibly can hear, and it's usually never true. I'm hoping to find out that it is true, that this thing does run really well, and I'll have a good idea on what to do with it next. It's got a lot of good parts on it, some not so good parts on it. That headlight right there drives me nuts. That's about the ugliest thing I think I've ever seen. I'm not sure why someone would convert it like that. What a poor job. Anyway, I do not have the keys for this thing. When I picked this bike up, I got to talking to the guy, him and I hit it off, talked about motorcycles. He had a slew of motorcycles, I've got a slew of motorcycles. We exchanged stories for hours. You guys know how that goes. I love to talk. So this guy did too, and of course we did really well in talking for hours. But in that exchange, I forgot to say, hey man, where are the keys for this bike? So since I don't have keys for this, I can't access the fuel door. I also can't access the saddlebags. And I can't charge the battery since I can't pull the bag. Now, I do know that this thing did roll over. I can switch the ignition on and off because it is unlocked. And when I did that the other day, I hit the start button and the starter did turn. So that lets me know that this bike could potentially start today. We're going to bypass the fuel system so that I don't know what's in the tank, I don't know how it looks, and honestly I don't want to mess with it. So what I'm going to do is I've got my fuel bottle here. I'm going to pull the air cleaner cover off. I'm going to unhook the old fuel line and I'm going to bypass it. I'm going to hook up the fuel bottle here and probably spray this thing with ether, hit that start button and see what we can do. So follow along. We'll show you guys that process. I love these old air cleaners. This is probably one of my favorite versions of a Harley Davidson air cleaner. I know a lot of guys like the old stuff. Some guys like the newer ones, but I really like the look of this. I think these are super cool. We're going to go ahead and start by removing this. Unfortunately, this top screw has seen way better days and is pretty chewed up. It's almost not usable. One of the parts that's often missing is this plastic piece here. And I've been fortunate enough to get a few of these in a few parts lots and be able to sell them. I'm thankful this one actually has it. I'm kind of surprised it does, honestly. This bike has a pretty unique true dual exhaust. The front head runs out the left side into the rear, and the rear head runs forward and back. I haven't seen anything like that before, and I'm not exactly sure who makes it. Kind of excited to see how it sounds. It does have a new enough air cleaner on it, so I'm thinking that maybe somebody did take care of this. A little gross on the bottom. That's pretty common with these. It still has the rubber strip running around, which is also pretty cool. Things you don't see on these bikes. A lot of times those are lost or damaged or so brittle they fall apart. And of course, like any old Harley project, it's had someone else's hands in it, and things have been switched around. So I've got a 9/16 nut on the back side of this air cleaner cover here. And as far as I remember, this should have been 1/2 inch all the way around. I could be wrong. Yep, incorrect nut on the back side. Kind of what I suspected. That fought a little harder than I expected it to. This is probably one of the cleanest backing plates I've seen in a long time. Usually these things are rusted right out in a really rough shape. This one's super clean. It does have oil in it. The oil looks fresh, honestly. I mean, it's not dirty. It doesn't look like it's in real bad shape. It's one of the things it's got is that crankcase breather that comes off of the backside of the case and goes into the intake there. That's one of the things that these bikes did. So they got kind of oily and gross, but it doesn't look like it's that bad. Like I said, I've seen way worse. Fuel line's in a real bad spot, so we're going to grab a wrench here and be able to undo that, hopefully. The spring clamp here is sticking straight up, so there's no way to get a screwdriver on it. I don't know how much fuel is in this tank. It doesn't sound like there's any in it. I'm just moving the bike around, shaking it a little bit, but there could be. And again, I don't know what that fuel looks like. So I've got my puke pan underneath the bike here. I do expect it to puke some oil. And of course, if I need to drain some fuel here into the pan, I'll do the same. fuel line looks like it's been replaced or it's in that good a condition. I'm not really sure. And the petcock seems to be working since I do have it shut off and nothing is leaking out. So I'm grateful for that. Sometimes those things don't work. Go ahead and put our new fuel line on here. Pull our choke. I think that works. Sure does. It actually pulled real nice. Kind of surprising. We push it in all the way here. I'm going to take a look down the throat of the carb, which actually looks like it's in really good shape. It's a little cleaner than I expected, honestly. We're going to turn this fuel on here and see if we can get some fuel flowing. I'm not sure if that float's going to be stuck or if it's going to work or if anything there is going to be in good shape. I expect it to just because of how nice the things are here, but I don't know for sure. Got a nice steady stream of fuel squirting right in this thing. It's kind of amazing, honestly. I would not have suspected this thing would just spray fuel as nicely as it is, considering I don't know anything about this bike or how long it's been sitting. So with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the garage door here, get this thing ventilated a little bit. I'm going to spray a little ether down the carb just to give it a little extra go. And we're going to hit the start button and see what this thing does. See if we can get this thing running today. All right, with the garage door open, I'm going to go ahead and shoot a little shot of ether inside of here. I'm going to close the choke. Turn this thing on. See what we can do. Give it another shot of ether and leave that open. It wants to start. Just like that, it runs. Well, as you guys heard, the bike ran great. It sounded awesome. It was actually quieter than I expected with those exhaust pipes on there. You never know what you're going to get with some of these things. Some are super loud and some are super quiet. But this one was really quiet. I'm grateful that I could hear it run. I'm not going to take it for a ride today. I don't really want to ride with a fuel bottle on. I just don't want to do that. I'm going to wait and see if I get the keys. Hopefully I do. That way I can take it down the road. I'd like to shift it through its gears, and I want to see how it actually, goes down the road. I do know it has brakes. I do know that the tail light works. The blinkers work. Pretty much everything works as it should on this bike. The only downfalls are there's no speedometer on this thing. For whatever reason, somebody took this gauge cluster apart and ruined it. I'm not sure why. Probably has a lot to do with the fact that they took the stock headlight out and then put this goofy headlight in the front and then this front fairing on here. I'm not sure why they did that or what they were thinking, but somebody wanted it to look this way and they made it look this way. My goal for this bike, unfortunately, is to part it out. It's a great machine and it could be a great base for somebody, but I know what these things are going for complete right now, and this bike is not in the best condition. So I'm going to take and I'm going to tear this bike down. But before I do that, I'm going to go through and I'm going to run it through its gears. I'm going to see how it functions. That way I have a great baseline to tell people the motor runs strong, the transmission shifts smooth, you know, what have you. I can tell people definitively that I feel comfortable with how this bike runs and rides, knowing what it will and won't do once I run it down the road. But today is not going to be that day, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I'm stuck. You know, since I don't have a way to get to the fuel tank and I don't have a way to actually put gas in this bike, I don't think there is any in there, and I don't want to run on the bottle, I can't run it today. But hopefully this week the weather will hold. I'll have the chance to actually run up and down the road. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, give it a like. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, hit that subscribe button. You know, I appreciate the subscriptions. I've had a lot more come in lately and I am grateful for that. You know, you guys have been really awesome about commenting on my posts, and I'm trying to respond to those as fast as possible, and I just wanted to say thank you for that. I appreciate you guys following along. We'll be with you shortly. We'll show you the next video, hopefully riding this thing soon, sooner than later. As always, thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.